Hey, here we go. All right. Hello everybody. It's me, Todd. You know who I am. Whatever, you don't care. All right. I might cut that out. You know what the hell? We'll keep it in. So, this is something I'm going to be trying out for the next little while. Basically, kind of doing video blog, aka vlog updates. As you can see, I have a little makeshift microphone setup going here. So what I want to do is, rather than kind of write this stuff out, which takes away from writing time because it's actually longer to write than anything else, and the time that I work with is very limited, especially now that I have to get cracking on High Plains Samurai. I just kind of wanted to do this little thing to give everyone an update on the kind of stuff that I'm working on, to provide something that, if there's any kind of additional thoughts or feedback that might actually help along the way, sure, what the hell, why not? Otherwise, I'm doing this just to keep the insanity at bay. All throughout July, I've been working on prepping the budget for High Plains Samurai, the scheduling. I've been in touch with everybody. Things are in progress. Artwork is starting to come in, thanks to Kieran. Jeff is in the middle of working on the map. He's got the initial sketch that I put together, so I'm really super eager to see that. And Vince and I have been talking about the editing, so the ball is rolling on that as well. So a couple little points actually I want to make on that front. We are looking at revising the third book, the one that actually contains all the rules. We have received some feedback that the way everything has been presented in the form of character generation guideline first, so everything is broken up into step 1 of creating a character, step 2, step 3, and then in there the rules are broken down accordingly. We're going to actually revise that to do something that's a little bit more standard. I always like to dick around when it comes to character creation stuff and try and find a new way of presenting things. So this was a bit of an experiment that didn't quite work. It wasn't like universally it bombed. It was just, it hasn't been universally accepted. And in order to get this out there to a wider audience, it's got to get cleaned up a little bit. So that's something that we are working on. But the main thing is I'm on vacation, so I don't have to go into my regular job at the moment for about a week, and I am planning on making the most of it, in addition to spending some much needed time with my family. So there are 3 things that I'm actually working on this week, and they are mechanical in nature. Before I get started on writing out the text that's going to go into High Plains Samurai Legends, which will be kind of like a preview / quick start / writer's guide to playing High Plains Samurai. Think of it as being a good way to do High Plains Samurai as a one-shot or at a convention to get you going until the full rulebook comes in. If you're having a hard time keeping up, that's why there's a rewind button. Get used to it. Okay, so the 3 main things that I'm working on, mechanically speaking, before I start working on embellishing setting and everything like that, is I'm revising how stamina works. I am working on setting chapter goals, and I'm also working on clarifying exactly how details function. So let me go through these all step by step as quickly as I possibly can. What I want to do is, and this is actually based on feedback, and I have a bunch of notes on my board. So you know what? Let me turn this thing and show you the board. Behold the board and the boom arm that's in the way. So those are all my meticulous notes that I have on this. And some of those notes actually came. Matt McFarlane did a review of Screenplay, the same system that's behind High Plains Samurai. And one of the things that he had mentioned is, as a personal preference of his own, is having stamina and milestones to track together. It's, I can't remember the exact terminology, but basically it's a little extra to keep track of what does what and who goes where, which is something that I have noticed during playtesting and especially in one-shot games. So what I'm looking at doing is actually merging them together so that stamina does the same thing as stamina before, where basically it's your health, your lifeline, it's also how you cheat, and merging that together with milestones, which is basically the XP system of the game. So what in a sense that's actually going to do, if this works, because if not, I can always go back to the previous version, which did work fine. There was nothing wrong with it. So this is something that we're going to be testing out in the development group. We're going to go back and we're going to play Black Scorpion's Revenge, test out a few of these things, and we're really going to try and merge things together so that basically increasing your stamina or even recovering health is based on the progress of the story. So basically, at the beginning of each scene, characters set down the scene goals. You've also got the chapter goals, which I'll get into, and there's various other goals that you're going to be setting down. How well you actually meet those goals and other factors too that I'm working on that I don't want to get into just yet are going to determine how much stamina you're able to recover, but more importantly, how much stamina you're going to be able to gain to make yourself more powerful. What this is going to do is twofold. You could simply set your character up to be able to take a shitload of damage and to be able to cheat a lot. So basically, you'll have a lot of stamina available to you. But what you can also do is you can permanently spend that stamina to increase your potentials, to gain new resource slots, to do additional things, to bump up your chi power. So basically that was what milestones did before. So they're really going to be going hand in hand. And what I'm hoping that's going to do is really demonstrate how stamina is not just health. Stamina is really, kind of like your impact, your lifeline in the story. The more influential that you become to the story, the more interesting you are as a character, the more stamina you're going to gain. Think about it too, as if you're watching any kind of, like long-term TV show, there are some characters who start off as minor supporting characters, but the audience really latches on to them and they become more and more influential to the point that the series Bible actually gets revised because the audience loves that character who now becomes a major lead, or even a secondary lead if such a term exists. And so that's the kind of thing I'm hoping is going to happen with stamina. So that's the kind of thing that's the main thing I'm going to be working on this week. And yeah, we'll kind of see how that goes. Like I said, we're going to be playtesting this out August 18th. We're going to be starting with the development team. We're going to be starting the campaign for that. If you are a Kickstarter backer, I am looking at actually broadcasting that game out live through Kickstarter Live, but I don't necessarily know what we're going to do at that point, so stay tuned. Chapter goals is basically kind of like how it is with scene goals, but it's a much more long-term plan. The idea behind it is, for example, the game that we're going to run, we'll probably just do 6 sessions. I don't want to drag this thing out too long. We have many other things we want to play, and I'll probably have a new idea that I'll want to start running and play testing. The idea is to basically say, okay, how many sessions are we going to use to tell this particular story? And then basically kind of break that down into, okay, well then how many sessions do we want to use to have the beginning, then for the middle, and then for the end? From there to kind of set down goals to basically keep everyone on track on the long-term plan. So if we're going to be telling our version of Black Scorpion's Revenge within 6 sessions, and it's not to say that by the end of this session, this has to happen, this has to happen, at the end of the 4th session, somebody's got to die, that kind of stuff. It's really going to be more a matter of, okay, so we want to make sure that, we've basically nailed down, the beginning, which is, like who, what, where, when, and why. Nail all that stuff down within 2 sessions. And then we want to do 3 sessions as the middle of how we get to there. And then we'll do 1 session for the conclusion to wrap everything up, like really big, epic ending. From there, then I want to set it up so that there is a reward system for actually being able to meet those goals. But once again, that's something we're going to play test because it has been brought up already, that we don't want to punish people who come up with something new and stray off the idea. And then if they do decide that they want to go 8 sessions because they're just having a good time or things have just kind of led that way, we don't necessarily want to punish. So that's something I'm working on and how exactly that's going to work. At the very least, it's going to be done as a structure format to say, okay, so now you're going to be telling something that's not a one-shot. It's going to be X number of sessions per story you're looking to tell. Here's kind of a way to break things down to help keep people on track, because when you're literally creating the game on the fly, and that's how High Plains Samurai works, you don't really write the adventure in advance, you play it on the fly. It's very improv. So you still need some kind of a baseline to make sure that everyone's still kind of moving in a similar direction. And then if it veers off path, that's not a big deal. In fact, like it's still an encouraged way. It's your story. You tell it the way you want to tell it. But at the same time, too, without a kind of an outline to keep you in focus, sometimes things can go a little awry. So that's something I'm working on. And then finally, there's also clarifying details. And that was something else that came from Matt's review is it just needs a little sharper definition on exactly what it is that details can do. And I think especially when it comes to High Plains Samurai and how it can be used in fight scenes, action sequences, and that kind of stuff, I think it would actually benefit to just kind of hone that in and tighten that a little bit better. Those are the main things I'm working on this week, and I'm really glad to have a vacation time to do it because it'll be the hardest part to do. Everything else, when it comes to defining the setting and everything else like this, I don't have massive word counts specifically that are required to do those. I have a lot of notes, and then that's just a matter of drafting everything up, putting it together, and just kind of working with the space it's given. So to me, this is the hardest part that I need to nail down because then it's going to be play tested over the next few months. And then hopefully by some of the backers who will be able to see that content as we work on it. There's a couple other things that I'm also working on right now with the IGDN, the Independent Game Designers Network. I can never remember. We're actually working on the Metatopia Scholarship this week, so I've been working on putting like a little postcard thing. So if you're going to Gen Con, at the table, our goal is to have postcards to hand out that'll basically give you a link on how you can actually apply or how you can actually support the GoFundMe page to raise the money for this. So basically what we're looking to do is to help people who have never been to Metatopia, who are new aspiring game designers, indie publishers, and that kind of thing, who have never had an opportunity to go, or I've always kind of felt like, no, I'm not quite ready, I'm not at that level, I don't deserve to go, to really be able to prove that yeah, you do. Get your ass over to Metatopia, because from what I hear, it's this really eye-opening, thrilling experience that is on my radar, and one of these days I'm going to go. So yes, I am a person who has never been, and yet I'm helping other people go before I get to go. So note the irony in that. There's also too, I'm going to be running an online session of High Plains Samurai for GauntletCon, and so I'm going to be hopefully sometime this week working on putting together the little descriptive blurb on that, and also going to put together a little 45-second audio promo that they're going to play, and I want to jazz that up and make that something a little fun to listen to, that kind of thing. And last weekend, finally, last thing, and then the rest of you who have actually put up with this, the OGP, the Ottawa Game Publishers podcast that I do with myself, Fraser Ronald, Mark Richardson, Jason Pitt, and Joshua Kitts, we finally recorded season 3 last week. So hopefully this week I'm going to be able to start doing some editing and putting that kind of stuff together. We actually talked about some really good stuff. We talked about pitfalls of social media advertising, not just using social media, but using it to advertise product. We talked about product tiers in the sense of, oh no, we didn't talk about that one. One of the things that we did talk about, and it was a conversation that actually went really well, that we actually had done some research, on. But we actually talked about the issue of diversity in the role-playing and even the publishing market. And yeah, we did talk about it as, 5 white guys. What can we do as 5 white guys to try and help show, include more people into this, basically. So that actually went really well. That's another topic that's going to come out. We also talked about sales channels. So a couple other things like this that we're going to be able to start releasing over the course of this season. Maybe about 5 episodes. So yeah, that's it. If you're seeing this, you already know how to follow me. So I'm not going to give any of that other kind of stuff. That's basically all I have. I've been rambling for 15 minutes. It's time to get to work. Okay? See ya.